Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. About to get into the second match of this Best of 3 series. Currently, it's Sin taking on Abyss. Sin pick up a very decisive game to one with all their players looking much better and on 4-month Rift rivals.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, they had a solo kill in the top lane. They had 2v2 going well. I mean, Ryoma got picked on a little bit from a good Elise gank, but Elise kind of wins every 2v2. So I think that, that was a good opening game. I think they would be happy with their decisiveness. And as long as they clean up some of, Ryoma pushing up aggressively without any vision early game and, not shadowing the side of the lane that Juice is on, they're all very fixable things in between games that they will actually be able to completely style on Abyss this time.
And just walking past their room early, I could still hear Juice being very vocal about a lot of the mistakes that Sin made in that game. So hats off to them. It seemed like they still want to improve even after picking up a victory against Abyss there. But Abyss, they're not on form at the moment. I mean, Luch stepped to this. We think, okay, Luch coming back to Abyss, they're going to look a lot better. I don't think he's had an impressive split so far.
No, I certainly don't think so. I think that he had a pretty good game that time around. He did most damage on the map and looked generally pretty good. I mean, that man on your screen literally ran into the lane and into the kill over to his mid laner. So there's not all that much you can do there. Pabu is a big one for me. Pabu is such a wild card. In the truest sense of the word, you honestly do not know what you are going to get from him.
He's Slim Shady, smart.
He certainly is. And I think he is a super talented dude. I've been pretty vocal in the past of my praise on Pabu. And he had some really good games last split, where he was bursting onto Summoner's Rift, was building 120 CS leads over people.
Yep.
I don't know if he's in his own head and he feels like he has to hard carry or do something special, but if he just goes back to being a farming top laner that exerts pressure throughout the latter stages of the game, I think this team will be fine, but for whatever reason, he just cannot do it in the OPL at the moment.
Well, hopefully he's beginning to feel like a rap god. If not, I don't know what else Abyss is going to be able to do heading into this game. Rain and Rosie as well, not having a great time against FBI and Row. We touched on Rosie's return to the OPL. He was very hyped up again. Was great on Chewy Splack. Was great when he first joined Tainted Minds last split. Now that he's on Abyss, hasn't been the same Rosie that we saw previously. Hope we'll be able to see more from him. And the bans from Abyss so far. Talia, as well as Thresh and Caitlyn being banned out towards Sin. So 3 very heavy target bans. Zac, Orianna, and Syndra banned up by Sin, which means Galio left open, first pick by Abyss.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Luch can farm up on it if he wants to and become an absolute monster. Pabu can take a tank matchup because we've seen that Dockler is happy to go towards tanky top laners still. And I think that, that's a power pick up there in both the top and mid lane at the moment.
Which leaves Braum open, and you'd have to think that Elise is the next pick here.
Rek'Sai.
No, Rek'Sai. So takes that one.
I mean, one of the reasons you might want to take Rek'Sai over Elise here is you don't want to give Seb the AD jungler. If you go, let's pretend that's a top lane Galio. Galio or Elise, something like a Victor. That is going to be so much AP damage in the mid on the top side of the map.
And there's just very few AD mid laners that are running around at the moment. The occasional Z ban will come out here and there. But with Corki's changes, he doesn't even apply anymore as an AD threat. They have picked up Gragas, so that is a lot of ability power front-loaded here.
Yep.
They could potentially just completely move away from the Elise.
I mean, that could be a Gragas jungle as well. I'm still of the opinion that that's going to be Pabu's Galio. I know that we've seen him on a lot of carries lately, but he was a big tank player when he was qualifying with Abyss.
The AD carry of choice for Abyss is Jhin. Dockler could just say, all right, I'll pick Renekton here, and he does. This is one of the first champions he played in the OPL. It was in the meta, and everyone said that he played Jace, and that's all they really knew about him, but he could play Renekton as well. So
yep,
he hasn't had great performances on the champion, but he's looked pretty solid when he's gotten the Crocodile. And they followed up with a Gnar ban, which does make sense.
Makes a lot of sense, since that Gnar pretty much was reintroduced into the meta to kill crocodiles. And Vlad being taken away from Ryoma, I mean, that's a strange ban.
It could be a few scrim things coming into play here.
I mean, Ryoma's also played it in the OPL a couple of times. The famous Vlad off and Orianna off versus Triple in the Gauntlet last time around.
Jax ban as well. Doppler does not want to play against that.
Makes sense. I mean, Jax actually is a pretty good pick into the Renekton.
Yeah,
Counter-Strike gets rid of the W, which used to stun through Counter-Strike, and that swung the match up a little bit further into Jax's favor. And is a time bomb.
It's historically, as you mentioned, been a time bomb. Even when Renekton used to win the matchup, as long as Jax was able to be 20 CS down 15 minutes in, he'd completely take over. Sin will be able to pick up Kalista, though, very late into this draft. Kalista Braum still very potent. Cassiopeia was the final ban, so double bans towards Ryoma with Taliyah being banned out right off the bat. Now Abyss, they have to show their hand. Sin still hiding their mid lane pick for Ryoma, and that's pretty smart, in my opinion. Making sure he has all the tools to work with against Luch. And that's a Kennen lock-in for Abyss. So top lane Kennen for Pabu, it seems.
Potentially.
Oof, mid lane Galio?
A support Galio. I mean, Rosie played support Zac, didn't he? They could be absolutely anywhere. So this is a funny draft out of both teams, honestly, at the moment.
We're going a little bit left field Mineski here. Made Abyss. Let's see what the final pick's going to be. Victor locked in for Luch. So that's Gragas jungle.
Yep. Has to be. Support Kennen or Galio?
Support Galio, it seems. This is... Okay. The final pick from Sin is going to be Kassadin. I like this pick up for Ryoma.
I think that Sin has absolutely won the draft. That is all I'm going to say. I do not know what the hell Abyss Esports is doing, Fish. I'm a little bit confused.
Galio support.
Is that going to be a full AP Kennen? Because his AP ratio was certainly improved, and it was absolutely gutted on the AD side.
I mean, a counter we saw at Origin to Galio top was Kassadin. So it makes sense that they want to run Kassadin mid lane into... Galio mid lane into the Kassadin. So they pick up the Victor, and then Kennen into the Renekton. So they still got their counter pick top lane, but it's a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, they've got so much AP on this team. No. Everyone is AP damage apart from Raid, and Raid is going to be chased all over this map by Ryoma.
And a lot of people pick range supports into Braum because they feel like Braum just doesn't win lane when he's against range support. He's against Galio. He's going to be absolutely fine. There's no magic damage in that bottom lane for Rosie to negate with his shield.
As I said, I don't know what has happened. I am honestly looking down this draft, and I don't know what their win condition is of this team anymore. They have, Kennen flanks that can go in with Galio over the top. Fantastic. That's absolutely fine. But everyone is going to be rushing Raid. So they need those peeling tools on top of him. And Jhin isn't a hyper carry. Jhin is, known mainly for utility, does great late game damage if he gets there, but only has those four bullets, and Ryoma has an infinite amount of hops.
And I believe this is 7.13 is the patch where Kennen was changed, so yeah, he's more magic damage based.
He has to be AP Kennen. If he's AD Kennen, I am going to be incredibly upset.
Which I'm think he's going to be, because the only AD damage they have is Jhin, and Jhin as a 1 AD threat is not that reliable with only 4 bullets in a team fight. So very curious to see how this one is going to pan out between Abyss and Sin. It's currently 1-0 for Sin, so it's match point for them. Abyss really want to try and take this to game number 3, but for now, let's check in with Hingers, who's standing by with, I believe, Abyss's coach.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Drac and Galio support. We know Rosie likes to play the unconventional supports. Talk us through the thought process behind it.
Essentially, it still does the same thing that Galio always does. It has its damage reduction is the tank for Galio, so you don't necessarily need items for it to do what it does. And being able to ult on the AD carry is still useful. So.
Do you feel like there's not a lot of AD in your comp. How do you think that's going to play out during the game?
Kennen will be building AD in top lane, which will help out with that into the Renekton. That's still viable, even though the nerfs recently obviously hurt it.
Yep.
So
AD Kennen top lane into Renekton.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right. But otherwise, you're feeling comfortable. What do you see as the win condition of the comp?
Lasting long enough to get the Kennen split pushing into the Renekton would be nice. Surviving that early game, and then after that, we're pretty happy.
All right. Well, thank you for speaking to us, and best luck in the game.
Thank you.
There you go, Spawn. 80 Kennen top lane for Pabu, despite the nerfs that have come in for 7.13.
And this will officially be a solo cast, ladies and gentlemen, because I honestly want absolutely nothing to do with nerfed AD Kennen on Summoner's Rift.
Carbon's still somewhere in the building.
If someone could bring him down, that would be fantastic.
But we have seen nerfed AD Kennen internationally played. So curious to see how it's going to still work for Pabu. Yep, they still went for Hurricane as well. Oh, yeah, it was interesting.
Did it win?
Or was it Rapid Fire Cannon? I believe it was in the LPL.
I
can't remember.
Ever use them as an example of what is good in League of Legends, Fish.
They're the best team in the world. They
no,
Rift
they are
Rivals.
very mechanically sound. I 100% agree with you. For example, they also pick Eve a lot of the time.
We need more Eve in the OPL. That's what we need. He's a great champion.
I'm an Eve player, and I don't think we need more Eve in our league. Good trade coming in from Luch.
Yeah, waits for
the spell shield. Yeah. Let me do my job, and you can do your job.
I meant to say what's happened. See, he waited for the Magic Shield to trade. That's what happened on the screen, and you tell the people why that's a good thing. Don't you tell me how to do my job. But so far, a lot better from Abyss in the bottom lane, holding their own against FBI and Roy. But you kind of expect that now that it's a much different lane than the Zaya Rakan.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, Raid has good range in this. He's gone shield as well. Rosie's just going to be an absolute tank and a nuisance at this stage of the game. I think that as the level 6 and, you know, the such starts coming through, there's legitimate kill threats still for Kalista Braum. And we'll have to see how it works out. I mean, Pabu's going to be annoying in the lane. That's absolutely no doubt. But it's just whether he can actually punish super hard the way that Kennen has been able to in the past.
It's not quite the matchup you wanted, but you did want Pabu in lane where he'd be able to dominate the matchup, eventually split push against him and just hard farm this lane. Theoretically, this is the lane that Kennen can do it in, despite the nerfs that have come in.
Oh, for sure. I completely agree with everything on that side. It's just, how does it actually go late game? Because if Dockler gets to 2 items and is absolutely fine in the split push, then unfortunately for Pabu, it doesn't matter how the laning phase goes.
His work has got his work cut out for him, so let's see what he can do. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, FBI and Rogue under pressure against Raid and Rosie, making it difficult for them to farm up.
Yeah, I think Raid actually should have chugged the potion there. He's actually very low. We're going to see Seb go for a gank on top side of the map, potentially look for a turret dive.
And Dockler
Big creep wave has been stacked up.
Seb did run out of red buff there, and Juves is making his way topside.
Yeah, I actually think this is a bad take from Seb. I don't think he should be farming that Krug camp.
Yeah, Juves knows.
Yeah, Juves knows he's there now. So Seb has to back away. They lose any kind of chance of going down there. Good taunt coming out.
Rosie will lock him down. FBI can't hop away, but Rogue just puts up the door, and that's a lot of spears thrown to Rosie. They get ripped out. Crit shot from Raid. Very as scary as it is, he can't use it.
Yeah, and I mean, tank support into tank support. It looks like Braum still coming up trumps here. Is certainly one of the kings of the melee support. Going to be played into Gragas as well, which has always been a fantastic matchup for the Braum. You can kind of pick exactly where the cast hits you.
We had Ryoma teleport back into lane against Luch. Went back, got a Dark Seal for himself with the extra health potions. As another control ward, so Roma just buying himself a free back against Luch. Can push out this wave, go back to base again if he chooses to do so. Top side of the map. It is heavily in favor of Pabu at the moment. Farming up a Storm, about 14 CS up, forcing Dockler off this minion wave.
Yeah, and it's pushing back into him, so forcing him off it is certainly a good thing. You can see that Juves wants to get involved, however. Dockler has flash stun available. Juves goes in.
Yeah, he's going to force the flash. Jumps on top of him, but he's taking turret. He has to back off. Can't quite come back in. Juves might fall here. The shuriken hits, and first blood's picked up by Pabu.
And that is much better out of the young mechanical top laner. Baits in the gank, knows as soon as Dockler commits that he needs to flash away, doesn't hesitate, burns the summoner spell, and comes up trump. Now big taunt coming out.
Oh, it gets both of them with the flash. Seb jumps on in. The shield has been put up. Good use of the Winter's Bite to stop the gank from going any further forward, but FBI does get locked down by Raid, and Seb gets that kill. Much better start for Abyss.
Certainly is, and Seb impacts the lane that he needs to. We had already spoken about how well this was going in the bottom side of the map. You can see he gets down there and makes a huge impact. Rosie with a good 2-man taunt fish actually shuts down any kind of aggression. Rogue wants to hold this. See whether he actually can. He's going to be able to.
He's going to be able to hold it for at least this wave and stop some of the minions. Rosie, getting a bit high for you there. Good old support or combat, never hurt anyone.
I mean,
except
this is
for Rogue.
fine. Rogue doesn't actually care because now Rosie has to push that into the turret, and FBI is still going to be able to grab the whole wave.
Good heads up play.
Yep, so heads up play out of Rogue. That's certainly what he wanted to accomplish, and now Juves potentially wants to kill Rosie.
Oh, might be able to get in there, but that's a big minion wave that FBI would want to farm. Juves looking for it. We'll get a knock up and some damage, but that's about it. Doesn't even get the knock up. Just backs off.
Just backs away.
Does stagger Raid and Rosie's return to lane though. Meanwhile, Luch and Ryoma trading. Ryoma's starting to get the better end of those trades.
Oh, certainly is. I mean, that's a fantastic trade out of Ryoma. You can see he takes next to no damage, and he's continually riff walking forward. Any matchup you can kind of go for these harass trades in as the Kassadin is certainly a good thing. You can see that Luch didn't get the back that he needed. Didn't get the 1250 gold, which means that now he's at a huge disadvantage, Fish.
She's going to use this time to try and take red buff away from Seb. So as we mentioned, much better start for Abyss. They're 1,000 gold up. You'd have to expect most of that to be on the top laner and jungler. Now I'm really curious to see how Pabu and Seb are going to transition this for the rest of the map.
Yeah, for sure, because this is a game where power isn't on Luch. Luch is actually, you know, even in farm, but getting pressured underneath his turret. So this is one of the few times that you really need Pabu and Seb to step up and carry this game nice and early, because otherwise Ryoma is going to turn into a ticking time bomb and going to be able to shut down all of the map.
Pabu has this lane under control. You can already see Doppler was forced to teleport back to the top lane. He's even got Vamp Scepter, Doran's Blade, and Cull. That's perfect amount of sustain for the Kennen at the moment to just keep doing this. Harass Doppler, take minion damage. He's more than happy to tank a couple of tower shots as well. And it's nothing his Renekton can really do. He just gets stunned up every time he tries to jump in.
Yeah, that's nice play out of Pabu. Uses the Lightning Rush to, that's not, to be able to complete the stun, of course, with the 3 marks. But the big problem for me is, you know, eventually Boots 2 are going to come out. That's going to nullify a lot of the damage. And you can see that Doppler already has good sustain.
Yep.
And Pabu has to watch out for these little trade windows. Seb wants to go for a gank as this lane crashes in.
Juice is waiting bottom side. He has a tunnel to work with.
Yep. You can see that they give the respect. Raid backs away. And top lane doesn't get dove either. So really across the board, everyone playing pretty respectfully.
Yep, Doppler is starting to trade more efficiently against Pabu, as you mentioned, and farm up, but he's still 30 CS behind, which is massive. Rosie again looking for a taunt. Rogue will get taunted up and locked down. Takes quite a bit of damage before he can put up the door, but Winter's Bite will connect. Galio just doesn't take damage. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, he's a pretty tanky dude. But still 22 CS in that bottom lane. Means that FBI is probably actually up in gold, even though he fell down in the game.
Yep,
So,
he
yep,
is 300 up.
Yep.
Big top lane advantage. 1,100 in favor of Pabu, and 600 in the jungle. And 100 mid lane still in favor of Luch, so that gold lead.
And you can
looking
see
good
that the
for
lane
Abyss.
is, the map is split in half. 3 control wards, I mean, one was just cleared out, and a deep ward there that we're about to see to be picked up by Luch. Top lane, 2 control wards and 2 very deep wards on Pabu's side of the map where he's absolutely dominating. And he certainly is very far ahead. It's just that I don't think he's going to be as useful late game. And Doppler's already starting to fancy this lane, swinging a little bit. You can see he goes in for a trade. Pabu going to be able to heal a lot of that up. But Doppler not really all that bothered by the cannon. He's falling very far down in CS, but his turret is still pretty healthy.
You can see already Abyss actually making a proactive play by sending their bottom lane 80 carry and support towards top side of the map.
They need to knock down the turret.
They can look for a dive here with Galio as well as the range from the Jhin. Cast comes out as well. Doppler actually avoids that one. He's still alive. Heals up a lot. Gets the slice but not the dice out. Juves is up here looking to defend this turret, but that's a big heads-up play by Abyss.
Certainly is. So that's the first really good play Abyss have made of this series. It's going to put them in about a 3,000 gold lead, Fish. And the reason that is so important is that they were starting to lose out on bottom lane. So they get themselves out of the bad matchup. They're going to give Raid a big lead now as he picks up another assist as well as that turret gold. And he can rotate Pabu down into the bottom lane. Looks like he's going to go Frozen Mallet as one of his first items as well.
This is huge now. Suddenly Seb as well as Pabu having the good games. Doppler and Juves yet to have any map pressure. The one gank they went for completely backfired top side of the
and
map.
that's what I was going to talk about, is that Juves and Doppler really botched their gank. Maybe if they had waited until level 6, you know, just seeded that the lane was going to be hard until that point, and then try and attack Pabu would have gone a little bit better. Instead, they went for what was a weird turret dive Fish.
There's also a very poor micro play from Doppler, double dicing before the stun.
Yeah.
Didn't make much sense.
Bit him in the bum.
And with that, Abyss increased their tempo by picking up a Rift Herald for themselves.
But they are going to lose out on a bottom lane turret. So they store up maybe a mid lane turret later, which they shouldn't honestly have that much trouble being able to take down, given the fact that it's a Kassadin. And there is a significant lack of wave clear on Sin's side. But FBI able to pick up the bottom lane turret. He's 30 CS up.
Yep.
And absolutely massive right now on the Kalista.
Dangerous man. But Sin definitely be looking towards late game now, despite the fact Renekton is catching up.
I
He's
mean,
still
they've
not great late
Put
game.
it back to 1,500 gold, which is honestly all right. And mid lane, Ryoma is absolutely fine. He gets himself unscathed towards the Rod of Ages. Bottom lane is nearly a Hurricane pickup as well. So the two big carries of this team are FBI and Ryoma, and both of them are in very good positions right now.
Yep, they are. I would have almost liked to see if Doppler just went straight towards something like a Sunfire KP and completely abandoned any path of damage for Renekton.
Yeah, Sunfire kind of sucks at the moment,
Does.
unfortunately. It certainly was one of the better bailout items in the past. It gave you like a little bit of the offensive flavor whilst having a lot of defensive qualities.
Looking for an engaged mid lane. Luch gets jumped on by Rogue. Winter's Bite straight into the ultimate, trying to pop the passive, but he flashes late, which is actually good for him. And that backfires on Rogue. Teleport being thrown down as well. Gets cancelled by Pabu. But really good play by Luch.
Ooh,
now
great
cast knocks FBI into the team. He doesn't flash early. Gets caught by the Jhin. Double kill picked up by Luch. And now Juice in trouble. He gets tagged. Crit shot after crit. Won't have to flash away.
And that is a huge play coming out of BIS, certainly showing that they are going to be able to push Sin here. Massive cask out of Seb, knocks them both in the right direction. Just clipped FBI. And you can see that with that, they're going to be able to push in mid lane turret, potentially look for the tier 2. And nearly a mirror image of last game, but just the different teams playing it.
Doing exactly the same thing Sin did to them, but this time it's after a mistake coming out from Sin. Roma wants to get in amongst this. Pabu's actually rotated down here as well. Rosie looking for the taunt. They actually locked down Rogue, but decided not to push any further forward. And Sin, they're just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Abyss. Not working.
So close. Nearly got the last charge off. It was on such low health, wouldn't have done any damage. But right now, 5-0. Let's take another look at that play. So big play coming out of FBI. Gets Rogue in range, gets a double knock-up. You can see that he gets stunned up there, and a fantastic fort means that the turnaround damage out of Luch at this stage, 3 upgrades on the Hex score, certainly going to be enough. Flash forward cast. That is no hesitation. And FBI didn't respect it, didn't flash heals very late. Either of those summoner spells probably would have saved his life, Fish, but he doesn't burn either and he dies.
Very unfortunate for Sin. Now they're 4,000 gold ahead, which has been a much better game from Abyss. And this is what we want to see from every...
I like to see a Jhin just streak down the lane after Kassadin. Of course, he has got a Galio within range with ult available.
That's not pretty. Right, somehow doesn't get tagged up by that.
i.e. first item of choice, so no early lethality like we see 80 carries like King build. Potentially one of the reasons that the laning phase was a little bit harder for Raid, given that he's not going for any bridging items, straight towards Infinity Edge.
4,000 gold lead for Abyss at the moment. 3 turrets to 150 and kills. They do have Ryoma scaling, and FBI does scale really nicely as well.
Yep.
But I really like this draft. It seems like they put a lot of eggs into the Pabu basket. In this game, it's paid off. Seb having a much better match as well.
Yeah, I think Seb's been the difference for me because Pabu's up 30 CS, and sure, that's fantastic. He also set up, you know, the tempo play to head towards top lane. But Seb's the one that, you know, got the respond kill in the bottom lane and was able to set FBI and Rogue behind and then hit that big cast and also was available for the top lane dive. So I think that Seb's pathing has certainly been greatly improved from game 1. 2-0-1, having a better Gragas performance. I mean, right now, Doppler's back within 20 CS of Pabu. And I don't think that the lane stays all that bad for the Renekton.
It just becomes a bit dicey once Pabu can get that Blade of the Ruin King.
Frozen Mallet, potentially. I mean, anything that can build Frozen Mallet's going to annoy Renekton. And they're going to be able to pick up another, you know, quote-unquote free objective right now on the bottom side of the map.
They're looking for Pabu. Oh, Juice wants to go for this gang. There's Bilgewater Cutler's used to try and slow him down. Pabu just flashes away. Very patient play from him.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, he burns the Summoner spell pretty early there, just to get out of dodge. No one else is available on the map right now, so you could see that FBI and Ryoma were both in base. That's why they had to make a cross-map play as opposed to try and defend that turret, because there was just no one alive to do it. And you can see that it's a 6,000 gold lead now at 16 minutes, and pretty methodically, Abyss Esports have built themselves a great lead.
Yep. And this is the Abyss. This is the style of Abyss that we want to see every week from them, because this is when they're on form. Everyone's playing really well, including Rosie, who I had some harsh words about at the start of this this series. As for Sin, for a team that wants to be contesting for top 3, they can't drop games like this.
No, they certainly can't. The game obviously not over yet, and they still have a good scaling composition. But I'm sure they feel like they've been a little bit quote-unquote cheesed. That, you know, support Galio, they didn't really see that one coming. And they've got back-to-back victor games somehow out of Luch. But really, they just lost this through a dodgy gank out of Juves early. And FBI and Rogue not really respecting the fact that their top lane was losing that much and that the duo would be rotating around the map.
And I really think the early pick of Galio has thrown Sin off guard. You
Yeah,
know, they
throw
picked up
him for a loop.
Renekton.
Throw
which
me through a loop.
You don't see top laners picked up first rotation for this reason, because suddenly a cannon gets thrown into the mix and you're done, effectively. We'll have to see how this game progresses.
I actually thought it was going to be Kennen support. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was going to be top lane Galio, Kennen support. But hats off to Pabu, who has certainly made this 80 Kennen look good on the patch.
Cannon support is a lot of fun. It's horrible, but it's a lot of
No,
fun.
it's played in European LCS. I would argue that Kennen support is better than 80 Kennen top laners. Especially to Braum. I mean, what's Braum going to do against it?
We're looking to try and
Great
lock
card.
down FBI. Cast separates him. Captain Bodies doesn't tag him in time. Rogue
Yeah.
jumps out.
Raid actually shot the captive audience in the wrong way. Pabu now getting collapsed on. Doppler looking for the 1v1.
And Pabu not going to get that second stun just yet. And Ryoma is trying to chase him down. Lightning
Flash
Rush
is
is
available.
on a long cooldown. There's the dice from Doppler. Locks him down. Easy pick. They tack the teleport. They've got two of their own. They have a flanking ward if they want to pick up a big fight.
You can see that it's actually being pinged out right now, but they're not going to go for it. Big cooldowns used out of Doppler in the form of the flash. So instead, just looks like Sin trying to corral them out of their own jungle. They don't really get an advantage there. They kill Pabu, sure, but they also give up a top lane turret, and Jubes gets chunked out. So now even if they want to play for the flank, they certainly cannot fish.
No, they can't. They,
And Abyss look pretty controlled around Summoner's Rift.
they had a couple of flanking wards. They pulled the trigger onto neither of them. I think that would have been the big heads-up play from Sin to try and pull them back into the game. Make a risk, try and see if you can get anything off of it.
I mean, the risky play was already there, that they were going for a flank onto the split-pushing Kennen. You can see that Doppler was spotted out by some wards as he was trying to get some deep vision himself.
Ooh. Big play mid lane. Ryoma flashing away early. Rosie's going to try and charge on in, but it's hard to catch a Kassadin at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Ryoma goes in aggressive and has to burn the flash. You can see that Luch just dropped all these spells on his head. Didn't really do all that much damage, but was worried about the lockdown of Rosie and the ability for the chain CC to certainly come through. So I like to respect flash.
Ryoma is going back to basis. He was. Now stopped it. Rosie is inspiring me to practice Galio support for uni games. This could backfire.
It could backfire. That is a very astute, I guess, conclusion to draw right there out of Ducky. Certainly could backfire. However, at the same time, is looking good at the moment. 0-0-4, 80% kill contribution for his team and looking pretty good. But I just don't know what the next move for either team is. You can see that Abyss are still trying to isolate this Kennen in the split push. Still hasn't got the Frozen Mallet, but is doing a good job of chasing Doppler out.
Yeah, he wants to kill Doppler. Here, Pabu popped the ultimate, getting a lot of stuns. That's so annoying.
I mean, it's really annoying but because of how long the top lane is. It doesn't really give them all that much. Just chunks out Doppler, who will recall, probably go back for that wave.
I mean, AD Cannon doesn't build cooldown reductions, so that's a long cooldown on his ultimate.
Yep. Actually, now going back and picks up a Zeal, so not going straight towards the Frozen Mallet Fish.
Curious.
Just wanted to sit on the arm guard, Joram's Fist.
Hurricane no longer procs the W, no longer charges up the same way it no longer charges up Caitlyn's headshots.
Yep.
FBI, they're going for an engaged bottom lane. They throw out Braum. Teleport's being channeled by both top laners to get down here. They're looking to lock down Rosie to kick things off. Everyone's flashing towards this point. Instead, they turn towards Pabu, who has no ultimate. Galio with a big knock-up and big body bots are followed by Seb. They kill Pabu. They lose their support, but Galio falls next. Now, 3-on-4 coming out from the Abyss lineup. Double kill picked up by Raid. Sinner now on their retreat. Raid will lock down Ryoma. Very, very quick. Kassadin trying to get out of this one. Seb, body bop doesn't connect. Good flash from FBI. And Ryoma still waiting to turn this one around. Just in case. Luch flashing forward. Good damage on FBI.
Ooh,
Gets a
FBI's
big
dead.
chunk of movement speed. And Raid pops the last bullet into him.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they turn around a team fight. Luch was very late, but when he arrives, sure, he makes a fantastic entrance, able to get a lot of damage out. 2-0-2 on the Victor now. And you can see that that grand entrance just slowed everything that Sin was looking for. I think it was a 3 or a 4-man knock-up in the end, Fish. And it just meant Pabu stayed alive for that little bit longer. And now Abyss, 8,000 gold in the lead, and the scaling is just not kicking in yet for this in-gaming lineup.
And if you think about it, if Pabu had ultimate there, that would have been a clean ace almost.
Yep.
But doesn't work out.
Let's take another look at it. So, flash burn early by Raiden. You can see that Rosie is just sitting there tanking up so much. Pabu teleports in, they turn their attention towards him. It's only a one-man ultimate, but bang! 4 members knocked up. Seb's back in there with a big body bop, and that delays so much time. That means that Rogue is dead, and then when Luch gets here, they're just able to get so much damage out. And unfortunately, the Kassadin isn't at the stage yet where you want to be leaping towards the Victor and the Jhin. And FBI just gets flashed on and killed. Ooh, rapid fire cannon. Good item.
And almost felt very greedy from Doppler as well, going in very low for that engage with his ultimate.
Yeah, they probably should have taken the 2-for-1 and just backed away. Tried to run immediately. Instead, Doppler, you're right, he stuck around and he certainly got made pay for it.
Rapido's looking like he's scaling up quite nicely. Still, Sin, they're 8,000 gold behind Abyss. It's a massive lead for the Abyss lineup. They were very confident that they'd be favorites coming into this game. And the gold is actually distributed very evenly on the Abyss lineup.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Seb's having a fantastic game over Juves right now. That was one of the areas they thought they would win. You can see that Pabu had a very good game on the cannon right now. He's 2,000 gold up and has been responsible for knocking down a lot of the turrets. Could maybe question that last play. He dove into 5 members and got blown up instantly, but they still won the team fight, which is important to note.
Galio Kennon's always been obnoxious. One of the big reasons why Kennon could still be played top with the Galio support.
Yep.
One of the few reasons why we've seen Galio being thrown as a support.
I mean, the really only team that I've seen play it is when they play Kennen 80 carry and Galio, you know, either top or mid lane in Fnatic, and then they're able to attack the split push time and time again. So they would ult onto Kennen in this situation and, you know, try and chunk out the Renekton. Certainly haven't seen that all too much. In fact, if anything, we've seen the opposite of the Kassadin collapsing onto the Kennen and trying to blow him up.
So we have Lich being picked up by Aroma. Curious to see when this Kassadin can start to split push against the Kennen.
I mean, I think he can now.
You'd have to think that'd be the one way for Sin to get back in this game. Group up as 4, have Kassadin kill Kennen. And get Dockler into the other lane with FBI, Rogue, and Juves running around Summer's
Ryan has
Rift.
gone pretty greedy boots, is something I want to point out. I'm going to argue if he had Merc treads, he probably could chase him down right now. The stun duration is not long at all if you're Kassadin with Merc treads. There's still a lot of magic damage that comes out of Kennen. As we mentioned, the AD build certainly got a little bit nerfed with all the changes that came across. He's gone with a Phantom Dancer. I like that because I think he is going to end up against Ryoma in a couple of minutes. And Baron is certainly the target right now.
Oh, they locked down Juves. He's able to get out. Sin still have the opportunity to attack the split push with their double teleport. And they've already done that once this game. As Abyss, they're very confident setting up for this Baron. Jhin, 3 crit items picked up.
Yeah, he's massive at this stage of the game, Raid. He's got double stacking items, 3-0-3. Still down 40 CS. They flash on top of Juve.
And that's the jungler dead instantly by Abyss. They can pull the trigger on Baron.
Yeah, exactly right. That should be Baron. They're up 8,000 gold. You know, without Juves available on Summoner's Rift, they are going to be able to grab that objective. You can see that they still want to fight here.
Yep.
No big summon cooldowns really used apart from Gragas.
It's only 3 people. Look at Dockler's teleport. It's going to get cancelled by the Kennen. And Rogue jumps into the fight. He gets pulled out by FBI, but he's taking a lot of damage. And Pabu in the back lines. Good flank from this Kennen. Luch gets the first kill. 1 by 1, the Sin Gaming members fall. They go straight back towards Baron.
I mean, what a play out of the Abyss Esports lineup. They're able to cancel Dockler's TP. He can't get into the fight at all. And then all of a sudden, they're able to just head towards that team fight. Rosie gets another big Galio ultimate, and they even stop the mid lane split pushing coming out of Ryoma. Now it is a huge gold lead, 11,000 gold for Abyss, and they have quietly just completely taken over the whole map. I mean, pressure point after pressure point has fallen, and Sin look like they do not know what has hit them.
They don't see a feasible way for him coming back anymore. It's 11,000 gold down against Baron. This is that fight again. Dockler's teleport cancelled, and then big flanks.
Yeah, exactly right. So the big thing here is that Rogue goes for the cheeky tag onto Luch, doesn't get him, and then Luch puts out so much damage. Rosie flies in with another big knockup. It was already a 4v5. Dockler's poor teleport and the ability to collapse very quickly swung that incredibly hard into Abyss's favor. And you can see Juves, he's hands off keyboard at the moment, kind of just looking at the monitor thinking, what the heck are we supposed to do to fight our way back into this one? Dockler has not got a split push build, he's got a team fight build. It is the Frozen Mallet pickup now, finally coming out of Pabu. So he's going to be incredibly obnoxious to deal with in a split push, and they've got open areas of the base to be able to attack with this Baron buff.
Now the question is, can Abyss execute the end game here? They fumbled once against the Chiefs. Let's see if they're going to be able to pull it
Don't
off
think they'll
here.
ever this far ahead.
Sin, though, looking for a forced fight. They jump straight on top of Luch, who
Yeah,
gets
goodbye.
a massive gravity field. Dropping the base as well. Double kill picked up. Rage chasing on forward too. Only FBI left alive. And one auto attack for Rage. That's half your health gone. Curtain call to finish things off in style. And that's game over, ladies and gentlemen.
Abyss Esports absolutely smashed Sin Gaming. They're able to take it out. Only 3 kills given across and a turret, but everything else going in their favor. They put their foot down. Sin went for the final team fight, but it did not work.
And that's a statement if I've ever seen one by Abyss. Bouncing back to in game number 2. And they will be able to take us to game number 3 against Sin. This is turning out to be a great series.
I mean, it certainly is, and that man on your screen, Seb, actually had a cracker of a game. Was able to get very good Gragas casts, protected his team when he needed to. I really still am confused by that draft. They threw so many curveballs, and it looked like they were shifting power everywhere, but the AD Cannon applied enough early game strength from the AD Cannon, and, you know, I guess that was enough.
It's back to the drawing board for Sin again. You kind of mentioned it, you know, they probably didn't expect this coming out. Their draft definitely looked like they didn't really expect what was about to be thrown at them, and they didn't execute against it. They tried to get early against top lane against Pabu. He played that fantastically.
Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, he turned around for that kill, and then everything went wrong when Seb was able to land that big cask in the mid lane. I mean, I think that Sin should have just sat back and looked to scale. They were getting pressured out around the map, but they were trying to be aggressive when they didn't necessarily have to be, throwing Braum into team fights. And Seb, like, really capitalized on that Gragas pick, and then they just had an annoying Kennen in the side lane that could never be dealt with.
And Docker just seemed like he was having a difficult time. He stood his own. Fair play to him. Didn't look like he was out of place in that game, but man, Pabu just looked so strong with Seb in that match, and Luch also stepping up on the Victor. Much better performance from him. I mean, he already had a good game 1 despite the defeat. Had a fantastic game 2.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you have to take a look at the Victor now. They've been banning away 2 mid laners every single game against him in the Orianna as well, but I think that, you know, this is one of those series that I honestly don't know what the adaptation is, because that was such a weird draft.
And it's all tied up, but to take us to game number 3, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Fish and Spawn. Abyss fighting back in this series of the week.
Yeah.
And silencing a lot of their critics, I take it.
Yeah, much better out of them. I
Yeah.
thought that was really, really good, actually. I think they
Yeah,
had
it's
a
kind of just a switch, really, wasn't it?
yeah, like they had a kind of an unusual comp that they ran, but looked like they had it practiced. Looked really good from ahead. That Jhin Galio combo was actually quite good in lane, I thought. I didn't expect that. And then in the team fights, there was a lot of times where I thought this cannon shouldn't be that far up, and then Galio comes out of nowhere, damage reduction plus the CC, and turns into a huge win.
Yeah, we were sort of saying how we didn't really understand their composition, but the fact that they came out ahead in lanes meant that they could execute their composition
good.
that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we really got to see what it really did.
Well, you and the casters as well were confused and or skeptical about Abyss's draft, but they led from start to finish. And Carbon, it was a much nicer game from their top laner Pabu.
Yes, I will say that like he had a decent matchup. Cannon into Renekton, he definitely wins early, but I think that being gifted a kill here, I mean, they super commit to this, but just do not have the damage. And then Juves just dies on the back end of it. That is the absolute worst case scenario. Cannon was already kind of, I mean,
10 CS something.
yeah, like he's already punishing him in lane. He's already flinging the bloody shurikens, and just getting that extra. He gets a blue buff, he gets extra gold, he gets XP, he gets to base, come back, and Dockler just had a really tough time after that.
It actually snowballed to where around level 6, 7, 8 that you could see the map pressure that he was putting out. He had his pink at the enemy tri-bush, and
They had a pink on the ramp as well.
they pretty much had the entire top side of Sins Gaming's jungle ward lit up. So Juice was seen everywhere, pretty much.
I know you had an interesting stat from last week about Cannon. Do you want to share it with us, or is it too deep?
No, it's not that deep, but it's more that I don't like remember the numbers like
Exactly.
exactly,
But
and so I
basically,
wouldn't usually.
give us the broad.
But basically, like, yeah, I think it was about a week ago or 2 weeks ago or so. I was looking at there's like a stat Twitter account that I was looking at that just like gives out stats, and one of them was that like Cannon has the lowest win rate out of any competitive pick at the time. Cannon was very meta at the time, and it was something like say like 18 matches of Cannon had been played, and only 8 of those games were victories, and like it was like something like 6 of those games were played by Reckless. And
He's
so
a
like
one-trick
Kennen
Kennen,
had
yeah.
just a
Reckless and Parbu.
just had an
So if you take out
abhorrent
those 6, it's
thing.
just 2.
So when they picked Kennen, I thought this game is over. Like they're just
Yeah.
like Kennen is just going to be useless. This Renekton's going to be huge. But yeah, that free kill at the start just really set Parbu up for success.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just individual play choo-choos. Good team play from Abyss as well. I know you want
Yeah.
to talk about this replay in particular.
Yeah, it actually switched around. Like Sin had a really good showing in game 1, but then this execute top, Parbu
combo.
ends up, Parbu ends up tanking the tower for a long time. Initiates quite early, but he knows his team's there to follow up, and they make a really nice four-man play top. You can see Kalista has no pressure bots, so they essentially have develop a huge tempo advantage off that, and that's sort
was,
of the starting point for their lead.
That was first blood tower as well. So like
Yeah.
that was a huge swing in gold. Their top lane was Doppler was already behind. That just sets him further behind. This Kennen really had just kind of everything in his game go right.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things we've criticized Abyss for historically has been like not being proactive, not making plays. But this game saw that, and plays like that, they took a nice gank in mid where they were kind of working as a team and being proactive. Do you think that's a possibility that only existed because they were ahead? Or do you think that they've been working on that, improving as a team?
I mean, it's always really easy to be proactive from ahead. But at the same time, like, it looked to me like that comp was polished. Like, they were getting the combos.
Yeah.
The CC into the Jin W was hitting
Yeah.
more often than not. I thought Seb hit a lot of really big barrels. So
Seb had a great game.
Yeah.
compared to his
yeah.
first one.
Just
Great game
yeah,
from
we
Seb.
should
I think-
also
I
just
think-
touch on that because he did play very well.
I'm
that
very
game.
critical and flashing, but he hit some really crazy barrels that
Oh, the one on Kalista
FBI, yeah.
at mid, that was insane. Like
Yes.
that was like the longest.
Yes.
That was like that must have been just like
He had definitely
pixel
some of the best
perfect.
barrels out of any Gragas player in OPL.
Yeah,
What
I
do you-
think yeah.
When we look at this draft, Sin first pick Braum. But I don't understand that.
I didn't understand it as well.
Well, I kind of. I was
said-
trying to justify
you
it.
said to deny Rakan's Aya, like it prevents them from going with that.
Not so much that, more that. So they wanted, because they obviously have very high priority on this Rek'Sai. Juves was playing it a lot in Vietnam, and I know he thinks it's a really strong
Yeah.
pick, and he's come home, and he's like, they first picked it in game 1. Game 2, again, they're like, no, we really want this Rek'Sai first rotation. The thing with picking Rakan early is that Rakan is not great without Xayah or Kalista. Like, he kind of needs that, the combo in the duo lane to, like, really be effective. And so I think that Rogue would have said, like, oh, no, I don't feel like playing Rakan without, like, X, like, without the 80 carries. And they're like, okay, well, we have to pick Rek'Sai here. So, like, let's just pick a
Braum.
different support. Thresh is banned, so he's like, just get me Braum.
So they're trying to pick something from that Braum that does not give away a lot of info about the game, the way they want to play, but also gives them options for who to pick as their AD carry.
It's more the latter. It's more that, if they can't take Rakan Kalista or Xayah Rakan in like one rotation in a block like that, then they don't really want to. That's what it looked like to me.
It
anyway.
actually really, I think the Braum pick actually ended up serving them really well because you could see the combo with Galio and Jin, the CC
Yeah.
lockdown
Whoa.
into the 4th shot.
Whoa.
If Braum Shield wasn't there,
Yeah, if that wasn't a Braum,
they would
So
have
much
been
damage.
Yeah,
Just
so
yeah.
many kills.
Yeah.
I think the Braum definitely ended up serving them well.
yeah,
I
thought it
think
was a
the
good
other,
pick.
I think the other kind of big thing is the Galio support. So
Yeah.
we've seen it flexed mid, top. I think
Yeah.
I've seen it once or twice as Galio support, and we've got a tweet here as well from Archangel. Don't understand why more people don't get around Galio support. Tanky engage champ with AoE CC. What's not to love? Question mark.
You're exactly right. And I also want to add to that, support. If Galio's put in support role, you're not limited to deal with a Jarvan top
a creep wave.
Yes, you don't have to be with a creep wave. You're not
Yeah.
limited to an opposite side of the map. You're allowed to roam with your AD carry, and we kind of saw how Rosie utilized the support so well. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Like that was a very viable, good option
Yeah,
that they've developed.
he made it look really good.
Yeah.
I think he comboed it with like I remember on that top dive that we saw earlier. When I was watching it, I was like, this Kennen is going so early. Like why isn't he waiting for the Gragas to come? And then the Galio ult comes through, and it almost looked like there's no counterplay for the Renekton. So
What are they supposed to do?
great pick.
And,
Luch as well. Brilliant
yeah.
game.
yeah,
from
Luch did.
I
yeah,
don't
he
want
did Luch things.
He's way too comfortable. Way too comfortable on that champion. His CSing is brilliant. You could see in that last team fight how much damage he had developed to do.
So
yeah.
That being said, like I don't think the Castellan was bad. Like Ryoma was still 0-0-0, even though his team was getting absolutely destroyed. He was still 0-0-0 at like 15 minutes, farming in the side lane. He did get the one. He did pick up the one kill from Renekton. The Renekton. Oh, sorry, no, he didn't get the kill, but Renekton, and he did gank the Renekton lane. So I thought that the Castellan was all right, and Victor really, I think he really benefited from his side lanes. Like, he was allowed to just sit mid and clear waves, clear waves, clear waves, and then they had so much CC that by the time it came to team fight stage, the Victor could really take over.
Just really want to add that Sin have very big success when Tommy plays quite an aggressive or early games champion. He's such a good mid laner, such a talented mid laner that if he does get an early, like a little step forward, he can push that advantage and bully out Luch. And Kassadin is a champion that requires 3 items, a lot of time to scale. So I would like them to push him back onto potentially taking away the Victor.
Well, if you do take away that Victor, though, even if Sin go back to blue side for this game, right? They have to ban Zac because Juves doesn't play Zac. You don't want to leave that open for Seb. Right? And they're already banning Syndra and Orianna. What do you leave up there instead?
Game, every match, yeah.
You don't need to ban Syndra and Orianna, I don't think. Like, okay, Syndra can be scary, but, like, do you really need to ban Ori? Like, I think they're paying Luch too much respect. Like, Ryoma is an extremely good mid laner.
I think they can ban him out. I think they can go Ori, Syndra, and look to take away the Victor.
As
and
well.
Then leave up the Zac for Seb to play.
You can, like, Zac is very strong, but he's not a free win.
Because Juves isn't going to pick Zac.
But well, why not? He's played it before.
He's played it before. He didn't do well. That's why they banned it on blue side now. So I don't think he wants to play it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll pay that.
You ban Zac, Galio. No, you can't do that.
We're trying to draft for them. I'm just trying to say that it's a difficult.
Yeah,
it's a difficult draft.
It is hard.
I want to talk about this though.
Thinking about it right now, and I think Tommy. I know Roma like as a friend, as a mate, and I know he would want to be playing that Victor right now after versing it two games in a row.
I think this matchup has been very one-sided so far. I think Juves has actually played pretty poorly in both these games, despite his team winning the first game so handily. I think Seb is playing much better right now. Juves needs to step up.
2.6k damage.
That's
yeah,
nothing.
That is.
I mean, we were
criticizing
criticizing only today.
Yeah.
For having, but that is even lower than what that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Juves in both those games. In this game, he gifted a free kill at top. Then again, he gifted another kill at Baron, where he just walked in and got flashed on, and they just instantly took the Baron. So I think Juves really needs to step it up for the next game if Sin want to win.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Juves though, and you're quite publicly the emotional center of that team, and you're playing 2 games, pretty poorly.
Yeah.
Going to that 3rd game, that's a big ask for you to step it up, isn't it? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Like in the
gauntlet run, they were down 2 games.
Yeah.
They were they've been in
worse positions.
Yeah, Juves has been in a very very tight situation. So, I'm more than confident that he can.
Probably in the
pull this
bathroom
back
right
around.
now, looking in the mirror.
Exactly.
But then again, like I don't think it is too much to ask him to step up.
All right.
Like, do you want to win or do you not want to win? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, winning requires you to play well, and if you're not willing to play well, then you're not going to win. Like, what are you doing here?
I'm not saying he's not willing to play well. I'm not saying he's there being like, nah, sorry, I can't do it.
What
I'm saying is, if you've played 2 games poorly, you're going to game 3. Is your mentality, no, I've got to carry this on my shoulders, or is your mentality, look, you guys need to help me because I'm not playing well today. I'm obviously having an off day.
Okay.
He's aware that Sin have great individual players. Like they've got Phoebe, they've got FBI, Tommy, Rama, and Dokla, who's proven to be very good now. He's not necessarily putting the pressure on himself that I need to carry this game. He just needs to do what he did at Rift Rivals, where he needs to make sure that he's there to shadow them. If they want to make a play, that he's behind them. He hasn't done that in these past 2 games.
I think what Game 1 showed is that Sin are very capable of winning the lanes on their own. They don't need Juves' influence. But what they do need is for him not to influence it negatively.
Just don't feed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot
Don't
more
give a
easier.
kill.
That's a lot more basic way to say it.
Away.
But basically, they don't need him to win their lane for them. They can do that on their own. What they need is for him to make sure that the jungle, that Seb doesn't influence their lane and that he doesn't negatively influence their lane.
All right, well, the series is currently tied up 1 apiece. Sin versus Abyss, but do not go anywhere because after these highlights, we'll be back with game number 3.
Tanky turret, he has to back off, can't quite come back in. Juves might fall here, the shuriken hits, and first blood's picked up by Palmu.
And that is
now
great
Cast knocks FBI into team, he doesn't flash early, gets caught by the Jhin, double kill picked up by Luch, and now Juves is in trouble, he gets tagged. Everyone's flashing towards this point, instead they turn towards Palmu, who has no ultimate. Galio with a big knockup, and big body bots are followed by Seb. They kill Palmu, they lose their support, but Galio falls next. Now 3 on 4 coming out from the Abyss lineup. Double kill picked up by Raid. Look at Dockless teleport. It's going to get cancelled by the cannon. And Rogue jumps into the fight. He gets pulled out by FBI, but he's taking a lot of damage. And Pabu in the back lines. Good flank from this cannon. Luch gets the first kill. 1 by 1, the Sin Gaming members fall. Sin, though, looking for a forced fight. They jump straight on top of Luch, who gets a massive gravity field. Dropping the base as well. Double kill picked up. Raid chasing on forward too. Only FBI left alive. And 1 auto attack for Raid. That's half your health gone. Curtain call to finish things off in style. And that's game over, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a statement if I've ever seen one by Abyss. Bouncing back to in game number 2. And they will be able to take us to game number 3 against Sin. This is turning out to be a great series.